Good day and welcome to this episode of CodeAlong with gOZie. We'll be looking at HTML block and inline tags. Every HTML element, remember an element comprises of the opening tag, the content of that element, and the closing tag, okay? So every HTML element has a default way it displays. Elements either display as a block or they display inline, okay? Elements that display as a block starts on a new line and will always take up the full width of available space. It also has spaces on the top called the top margin and on the bottom called the bottom margin. Let's have a look at this. Okay, so let's create a new document. Let's call it Block Inline. Please take note of the capital I for the inline, okay? We'll talk about it in JavaScript class. .html, okay? Now let's code our basic web page structure. So Shift 1, enter. Change the title to HTML block and inline elements. Okay, so H1 HTML block and inline elements. Then subheadings H2 block elements. Okay. Now, most of the tags we've looked at before, heading, paragraph, okay, of the tags we've looked at before, headings, all the paragraphs, lists are all, I think, which other one? Okay. Body too, the body tag, the HTML tag, those are block tags, okay? But let's have a look at the most common block tag you will look at. It's called a div for division, okay? So let's use a div and a paragraph to illustrate what I've said about block tags. First of all, we say that they start on new lines. So let's have a div and then have a paragraph in it. So have P lorem 15. Okay, and let's have another one. Okay, no, let's make it kind of shorter. Lorem 7 to buttress the point, and then copy it, paste on that, and let's look at the page. Block inline. Okay, so you can see this paragraph. Despite the fact that there are spaces here, this paragraph will always start on a new line. Okay, now to help this functionality, let's remember the second point I made about block tags. They occupy 100% of the screen. So if this occupies 100% of the screen, it means you have to push this one to the next line. So that's basically how the implementation works. Because block tags occupy 100% of the screen, for any time you ask the browser to render a block tag, it will start on a new line. Okay. Now, just to make this a little more descriptive, let me add some styling to it. Like I always say, when it comes to styling, don't do what I'm just doing. When we get to style class, we'll look at it. So there's a property called background color, and I'll make this let's say I'll make it aquamarine. Okay, there's another one, style, same background color. Now I'll make it let's say brown, and I would like to have another paragraph here. I like to change this to a lighter color. Okay, so let's refresh. Good. Now this coloring will help you understand those 2 points I made. The first one is that they will always occupy the width of available space. So the available space they have, because this paragraph is placed on in a div, and a div is placed on the body, and the body is placed in HTML. Remember I told you that HTML is a block tag. So HTML takes up available space. What's available space? from this end of my screen to this end of the screen is the available space for HTML. Now body takes up the available space within HTML. So body also takes up from this end of the screen to this end of the screen. Okay. Now body has something we call a padding. That's why you can see that the paragraph does not get to the end of the screen. It comes by default. Okay, when we get to CSS class, we'll talk about that. Now, div now takes up available space. What's available space now? 100% of the screen minus this padding that comes with the body. Okay. Now, paragraph takes up available space within div, which means because the div takes up from here to here, paragraph takes up from this end minus the padding to this end minus the padding. Okay. Now let's buttress this further. I want to make the div, these paragraphs are within a div. I want to make that div. You can't see the div. Like a div is a container. We'll talk about it in the next few minutes. Okay, so let's make the div like 50% of the screen, so that you further understand what I mean that by it will take up available space. So let me go to the div and apply style and make width just 50% of the screen. Okay, let's refresh. So these paragraphs, being the children of div, will take up available space that their parents provide. So their parents being a div, only provides 50% of the screen. They will now take up 100% of 50% of the screen. Okay, I hope that makes serious sense. So let's look at other very common block elements. Okay, let's have a look at them. So on the next line, I'll start using them. We've seen div, which I said would be one of the most common elements you use. Then there's one called a nav, okay, for navigation. Then we have header for our header section. Then we have footer for our footer section. We have sections for organizing our page. Sorry, not capital letters. Section. Okay, then we've looked at all the headings. Heading 1 to, okay, let me put the rest in paragraph. Paragraph is one of them too. So all the headings, all the heading tags are block tags. The lists, all of them, all the list tags. Okay, let me remove all the, sorry, that's that'll make wrong construction. Heading tags, list tags, horizontal row, horizontal row. Okay, and then lots more. There are so many of them, but these are the common ones that you will have to use. We'll look at all these ones just a few moments from now. Okay, next we'll look at inline tags. Inline tags, H2, inline elements, elements. Okay, so basically inline elements do not take up, they don't start on a new line because they don't take up the full width of available space. They just take up as much space as they need. Okay, so let's look at one of the most popular, okay, I think, okay, it should be one of the most popular inline tags we're going to use. It's called a span. First of all, let me create a paragraph, and lorem, let's say 10, and let's put a span here. Span, cut this, paste it here. Okay, it doesn't really do much, but for us to make it stress the span, let me get a color, background color for it. So let's Let's give it this. Okay, I just copied this background color here, pasted it here. So let's look at the page. Okay, so this is a span. This is a span here. It doesn't take up 100% of the page. It just takes up as much space as you need, which means it will allow other elements to be in the same line with it. Okay, so remember these are the tags we talked about: nav tag, for the block tag, header tag, footer tag, section tags, and these are other inline tags. Now this is a paragraph, which is a block tag. This is a paragraph from here to here. Then within the paragraph we have the span, which is the inline tag here. Like I said, it is the most common inline tag you will use, and you could see that it doesn't start on a new line. Why? Just like we explained this, the block tag starts on a new line because each block element occupies the full width of available space. Now, inline tags, they don't occupy full width of available space. They just occupy as much space as they need, allowing other elements or characters to exist in the same line with them. Okay. So common inline tags are, just like I mentioned earlier, the span tag. We have the anchor tag. That's for the link. Anchor tag. These elements, anchor elements. Okay, the tags I used to render the elements. Okay, anchor tag. That's link. Then all the text formatting tags. So let me put this in the paragraph. All the text formatting tags I used to render inline tags. Okay, and there's so many others, etc. There's so many others. Okay, let's have a look at the div element. The div element. Let's create a new page for that. Div.html. Okay, so we change the title. Change title to HTML. Okay, so we'll have H1 here. We'll put some contents. Okay, so a div element is often used as a container for other HTML elements. My basic advice is not to have your elements directly within the body tag. I will always put my elements within a div tag or any other container tag, and those ones will now be within the body tag. For instance, if I have to render this in a production code base, I will put a header tag, because a header tag is another container tag that is used to contain the head section of your web page. So I'll put the H1 in a header tag. So I wouldn't always advise you to put your, it's not wrong, it will work, but for organization and professional purposes, don't place your elements, like your display elements, your content displaying elements, immediately within the body tag. Place them within a container tag and then have the container tags placed within the body tag. Okay, so div is the most common one, and we'll look at these headers and the rest. Okay, like I said, div elements are often used as a container tag for other HTML elements. So let's change the header to div. We'll get to header section. We'll look at it. So this is what it means, that divs are containers. So it's just containing the H1 element. Okay, div has no required attributes, but we commonly use classes, IDs, and styles. Okay, so something like this, I could have a style, and I could just say, okay, all the background colors, the background color for this div should be crimson, and the color of the texts maybe should be dark gray. Okay, this is dark gray, or let's change it to just a different color. Now, the advantage of having a container element is containing other HTML elements is whatever style you assign to this div, the children will inherit it. So if I have, like, let's say I have a paragraph here and it's lorem say 50, okay, and I have another one on the paragraph and it's lorem 100. So let's look at this. There's div. You can see that whatever you style on the div, the children inherits it. So it helps us with organization and layouts. Okay. Finally, let's have a look at the span tag. The span tag, span.html. Okay. So we change the title. So HTML span, then the H1 too. Okay, so the span element is an inline container, just like I said earlier. It is used to mark up a part of a text or a part of a document. Okay, and just like the div, it doesn't have a required attribute, but it could come with styles, classes, and IDs. So let's look at that. I think we did this somewhere. I think we did it somewhere here. Okay, yeah. So this is what it means to mark up a section of a text or a document. So if we pop up the span page, you will see we just use it to mark up this area. Okay, to provide maybe a styling or whatever it is. Now, this block and inline concept you will use a lot. I'll talk about it more when we get to CSS, because it's really very important for our layouts, our designs, and all whatnot. Then back to the block tags where we talked. Okay, let's go back to let's use the div page. Like I said, there are other container tags. Just like div. Let's just have a look at them and then use them to structure a page and give you a better understanding. Let me create a new page. So let's say block practice. Let's call it block practice.html. This is not a self-descriptive page name. Okay, so HTML block elements. Okay, so if I'm designing a page, of course my page will have a header section. Like I said, these tags are just like div. They don't do much. By default, all they do is just to contain. Okay, now I'll have the head section. I'll also have the footer section. Okay, now in between I will have normally I use div, but you can use sections. These are sections of your page. You can have like 3 or 4 sections of the page. Okay, we have like 3 or 4 sections of the page. Then I can now start placing the elements within them. Maybe in my header, I'll have H1 for the title of the site. So let's say this is for an NGO. Then beside the H1, I'll have my navigation. Navigations are implemented using on other lists and then the anchor tags. So within my on another list, I'll have an anchor tag. For now, it's leading nowhere. Then I'll call this home. Okay. If you want a tag to lead nowhere, just put hash inside it. Put the hashtag within the as the href value. So let's say this is my about us, and this is my contact. Okay. So now I now have 2 children for my header, the title of the site and the navigation links. Then maybe within my section, I could have just 2 paragraphs each. Lorem 150. Okay, let me copy this and paste. Okay, because I want to do the same thing for the other 2 sections, I just need to replace them with this, and then replace this. Okay, so 3 sections of 2 paragraphs each. Then in my footer section, I'll have my copyright. We'll look at some of these special characters. This is a special character for copy. That's the copyright. Copyright. 2021. Dev with gOZie. Okay, so let's look at this page. It looks uninteresting because we've not applied CSS. Okay, so when we go to CSS class and apply CSS to this, it will look a lot better. So it's because you wouldn't see these container sections by looking at this, but we designed it so we could tell that our head section starts from here and stops here. The first section is 2 paragraphs, so these paragraphs are within the first section. These ones are within the second section. These ones are within the third section, and this is our footer. Okay, so just a brief on how to use them. During our CodeAlong, we look at how to use them to solve